And how you feeling? You feeling good?
I'm doing great. What's going on? Great to see you.
You were in Los Angeles for the All-Star game, weren't you?
I was.
Okay, so can you explain to me what the hell is going on out in the West Coast with you know Dodger fans, Padre fans, Giant fans? I mean, dude, there are more brawls at those games, not bras like in brawls.
Right.
In those, I'm sure there's a lot of brawls too there, but there are so many brawls in between Giant and Dodger fans, and now San Diego fans, and I see it in Rams games also. Dude, what's going on with baseball on the West Coast? Why are they so? Why are they violent idiots over there?
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I think it's a good question. I know the Dodgers and Giants have had a lot of fights, and one
They
was
kill
very,
people. They put them in comas.
yeah, one guy had, really serious, head injuries from that.
There were two.
Um,
There've been two coma incidents already in those
yeah,
incidents.
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's just because they play each other so often and the proximity is right there, and I don't have a great answer for you on that. I really don't.
I mean, Rays and Marlins fans don't fight like that.
No, they don't.
Let me ask you something, just to I don't know, because it's what we've been beaten down to. I'm and when it comes to Sandy and he's pitching
Mhm.
tonight,
Yeah.
are the sands of the hourglass also going through for the next couple of years? Because it's nice to have him under contract, but do you think Sandy, in a way, is kind of okay? It's great, I'm getting paid now, but I ain't signing another deal with these guys unless they prove they're going to spend. So at this, while we get to enjoy Sandy,
Hmm.
I don't know if we'll get to enjoy his whole career. And I really wonder about that when he goes to the mound. What does he think? What kind of support? Because we're
Yeah.
talking about a guy that should be the ace of a World Series type of team. That's what that guy should be. You know what I'm saying? So you know that better than I do. So I'm just
Yeah.
wondering, what kind of a dude is he? Can he just Mike Trout his way around his career and not really worry about winning? I wonder.
Yeah, well, it's a good question. I know him pretty well. I know him very well. I've known him for many years, going back to when he was just a kid with the Cardinals. And it's the dynamic. I think for that question to be answered will begin next season, because this is real. Even though he was really good last year and he had that good postseason run in 20 Orlando, when players like that start having opinions is when they start becoming like the team leader or leaders on the team. It's not to say that Sandy is not that right now, but he
Is
is.
he one of those leaders, or is he a
He's on the
Barkov leader?
verge. He's on the verge of it. He
So he's not Barkov. He has a personality that will go out and
absolutely, but I don't think that he has imposed will on anything. And while I think that he's helped some of the young guys, I don't think that he has been the most vocal guy in there yet. Maybe that changes. I don't know. Does he have the personality for it? Yes, I think he does. So I think that that is a fair question for next year. He is slowly starting to expand in some of the things that he says for what he believes the future will be and play. When Pablo was not traded, I think he made the comment publicly about, I don't know why he was even on the trade block anyway. So it's like you start to see those things happening, and then you wonder how far he'll go with it. And then I guess we'll find out about that next year, because he goes into 2023 as the team's unequivocal best player. There is no question. He's the MVP of the team. Did he
one of
go
the best
into
players.
that?
He's one of the best players in the majors. Forget the
Right, right. But
Marlins. My
remember,
God.
did he go into that this year? I would not say that.
No, no,
A
he
lot
had
of
the
people,
potential. He had the
he
potential
had the
because we
potential, but
saw it.
now you know. Now you know. Hey,
Dude, other people are saying he's the best pitcher on
he's
them
the guy.
in the game now, on the planet, all that stuff. When
He's
his
the guy.
guys, not on his team, but other people that play the game are saying it, the respect is there. That's why
Absolutely.
I'm so beaten down like every other Marlin
Of
that
course.
we have to watch Miguel Cabrera go into the Hall of Fame as a Tiger when he should be going in as a Marlin. You know what I mean? It's just that's
Right.
what we're supposed to see. We're supposed to see Derek Lee finish out his career here, and we're supposed to see whatever Beckett and Burnett or whatever, all these kind of guys that we've had over the years. You know, rest in peace, Fernandez. If we could have seen him, finish out his career here,
Yeah.
something like that. We have not been treated to that, man. And to
Well, again,
me, it's the most important thing that the Marlins to develop an identity and to develop a culture of baseball here, brother. We need players to grow up with generations of kids. We need it. Gotta
yeah.
have it.
Well, we'll see. I can't answer what's going to happen in 5 years from now, but Miami has a lot of work to do again coming up in the offseason. Whether or not they do still remains to be seen. And it's just, I find it so fascinating how you look at the season that Sandy is having, which is going to end up winning him a Cy Young. And then what's funny, Orlando, is that we just make these blanket assessments in baseball, a little bit different than football and basketball. And the assessment is that this is who Sandy is, and that he's going to do this exactly again next year. And we don't know that, right? Like, we don't
Right.
know that that's going to be the case. What if Sandy takes a step forward? Sure. What if he takes a step back 10% or 50? What does that mean for the team?
Or does he take a Chris Sale 15 steps back?
No, that's not going to happen. You don't have to worry about that. I want to end with one thing on Sandy, though, Orlando. As long as I have followed this, I'm sure there's been instances of it. Okay, there has to have been, but I don't recall this late in a season with a player that is the overwhelming favorite to win the Cy Young and has been the overwhelming player that is the best at his position at pitcher this year to be an underdog going into any game, and he is tonight. I mean, Sandy is an underdog tonight. That tells you where the Marlins are at right now.
By the way, today in my liquor split matchup of the night, which by the way against the number, I'm 25-10 in the last 35. Just want you to know. I picked the Marlins tonight. I picked them because Sandy has allowed 2 earned runs the last 3 games against the Phillies. And Syndergaard has not started off well yet. Right now, he's got a 7 ERA.
Not great.
Yeah, not great. But the Marlins' offense isn't very good.
Exactly. So you know what the score is going to be in the 5th inning: 1-1, 1-0. I mean, this is a fact.
I'm taking the Marlins plus 1.5, and
it's minus money, right?
And I'm taking the under 7 runs because I bet the Marlins in the last Sandy outing because I knew when he had the shitty outing, he was going to come back like a freaking tear. And he came back like a tear. And I think, okay, because nobody knows what I just mentioned because they're either not gamblers or not really hardcore. How many people went back to see Sandy's last 3 outings against the Phillies? Nobody does that. Only a gambler does that. And you see it. And to Sandy allowing 2 earned runs each time to the Phillies in his 3 outings, I bet you that some bitch is going in there going, shit, man, I'm not allowing 2 runs to these guys.
I don't know that factors in.
I bet you he wants to have another one of those.
I don't know.
0 earned run type games when he walks in there.
And he may. My point isn't even
Philly down this time around. I bet.
Listen, my point is not the outcome for this whole conversation that we are spending too much time on. It's the fact that the Cy Young Award winner is an underdog. I mean, that's crazy. That tells you how bad the team is. I mean, an underdog. He's like a, you have to bet 100 to win $1 on Sandy or 10. He's like a huge favorite to win the Cy Young, and he's an underdog tonight. I'm not saying it's great bet, bad bet, or anything. I'm just making the statement that is fascinating.
Hey, I'm not a financial advisor, but I'm just telling you at 25-10, I like the Marlins today plus 1.5, and I like the under 7 runs today. I do. I just think it's going to happen. And Noah gets a break because he plays a bad offense. And I think Sandy has controlled that offense, and I think he's going to try to control it even more tonight. So I think it's a nice low-scoring game tonight overall. We'll see what ends up happening. By the way, what do you think of Chris Sale's season? I mean, dude, the Red Sox are still in it here. And oh my God, the guy's either had bad luck or bad decisions.
Yeah, remember earlier in the season he had that poor that minor league outing, and he beat up on the clubhouse a little bit.
Right.
And
like I said, bad decisions or bad breaks.
Yeah. I mean, look, it happens. Frustration for sure. The bike thing, I don't know. Remember Madison Bumgarner had an accident a couple of years ago that cost him most of the season. And I mean, this is the dynamic, Orlando, that it to me it brings up such more of an interesting conversation. Chris Sale may come back, he may be great. He also may be done. Like, we just don't know. Like, I mean, look, he's not 26 anymore. He's
Right.
getting older. He's a pitcher. Who knows what he's going to look like next year? And what's fascinating to me about this conversation, Orlando, is that for Boston, it doesn't matter. The next year, they'll just go get somebody else.
Right,
Get
yeah, no,
somebody else 200, right?
yeah.
And like the Cubs, think about the Cubs, okay? The Cubs told Jason Hayward that he's not coming back next season. Jason Hayward said, but wait a second. My contract says I'm going to get $22 million. And the Cubs give him a check. Here's the $22 million. And it doesn't matter. They're the Cubs. they can afford it. It does. And that, to me, tells such a bigger story in terms of dynamics for where we're at here versus where the Cubs are at or where the Red Sox are at. Like, they handed Hayward $184 million. And he was a pretty good player for them. Good defense, Gold Gloves. It wasn't the player that anybody thought he was going to be, let's be honest, in Atlanta. And even when he went to St. Louis. And for those teams, it's just like a drop in the bucket. They could just,
Right.
Sale, they look at it and woe is me. Red Sox fans are mad at him. And then in the offseason, they sign another pitcher, 4 years, $80 million. And it's like, well, we hope Chris Sale is back, but if he's not, it's okay. It's just crazy.
The dynamics are so screwed up because the Dodgers, the Cubs, the Red Sox, they can just erase mistakes with money. But if you're the Oakland A's and you don't want to spend money, well, if you don't hit on your money ball ways, you will have the season you're having this year. You know what I'm saying? Because and if you sign a player that turns out to be a bad free agent, like the Marlins with Avisail Garcia, you're stuck with the player and you cannot make up for it because you just can't go buy another one to make up for it and then go pay for taxes and all that. You just can't afford to do that.
I know.
And it's just completely two different dynamics. And that's why I've been wanting to find out who they're going to be, because there's only three ways to build a baseball team. You either are the Dodgers and the Yankees and the Red Sox. Yeah, you can draft well, but you always have that bank to save your ass.
Right.
Or you can be the middle rung teams, the Atlanta Braves of the world and those kind of teams that you're going to spend in the 140s, 70s, 180s, right around there. But you've got to hit on your guys and you've got to make smart decisions. Or you're going to be the Royals and the Marlins, that you're going to try to live off of your young guys and hope that 1 year you capture magic in a bottle and all your young guys have a run, that all you need is Pudge, Pierre, Redmond, and Urbina. And hey, we got ourselves a championship team. You know what I'm saying? And everything else was the magic that, went on with all the guys that Dombrowski left. And the Royals did the same thing. They did a marvelous job of drafting and developing, but they never kept their guys. So there's
they
only
had a good 2-year run, one World Series and then one runner-up, but
right, because they were young enough that they didn't have to pay them.
Eric
That's why
Hosmer, Salvador Perez,
right,
Alex Gordon.
Once they had to pay them,
Moustakas.
Yeah. So, and I get the feeling that that's what Sherman and Eng want to be. They want to be that last team that the Marlins and the Royals have been, not the middle tier. And I know they can't be the other one. Let's get realistic.
Can't be in the upper tier. No.
Yeah, they can't be in the upper tier. But to me, that's kind of what it is, right, Mish? I mean, those are the three ways to build a baseball team, right?
I know, and that's why it's very difficult to look at this and say that they didn't try to do anything in the offseason. Did they try to have an offseason this past year to win 100 games? No. Did they try to have an offseason to try to win 90 games? No. But they tried to have an offseason to win 80. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And they gave one guy $54 million and another 36. And my gosh, like, those look just like, I mean, Soler, I think, ends up okay. But
it's really not a great deal. It's not
a game-changing deal. But they were supposed to make the team competitive, and they didn't. Now all of a sudden, there's a mirror sitting in front of them. Like literally, like, do you really think that the Marlins are going into the offseason and giving another guy $54 million?
No.
And giving another guy $36 million?
But you know what? It goes back to one of your segments about a month ago, 6 weeks ago, when you were saying, why should they be a player? And in the end, why should you spend in the offseason? If you're going to go the path that I was just talking about, your young guys haven't gotten there yet. You're not ready to add Pudge. You're not ready to add Urbina. So you're going to need to develop a whole bunch of young guys, and then they're all going to have to be playing well. And then maybe you can go and add, a veteran or two to get those young guys over
True.
the top. That's the only way. And they don't have enough of those guys. My Lord, they don't have enough bats.
No, no, but they thought
Jesus.
they would be here. That's the problem. They thought that
Well,
they would be here by
well,
now,
well,
and they're not.
next year, that's what you got to do, right? Okay, you can't spend. Well, it's what you said again in an earlier show. Go trade some of your pitchers for bats,
Absolutely.
dude.
Absolutely.
Jesus Christ. How do we know more than they do?
It's not a matter of that. It's just painfully obvious that
That's what I mean.
that they've executed, when you think about it, over the last year, 3 trades that I would consider significant. That's not enough for a team that's trying to do what they're trying to do.
And
They
you've got
acquired
everything
Joey Wendell.
magnificent job of loading up the pitchers in your organization. Well, then, dude, you can't pitch them all.
I
Go
understand.
use some of them as
I
trade bait.
understand. Yeah. Joey Wendell was one. That was a significant trade and a good trade for them. They traded a former first round pick and Cameron Meisner. They got Wendell back. So that was a good deal. Listen, I still think the Stallings deal that they got, I know Stallings has not had a great year, a good year even. The last month he's looked good. They had to get an upgrade there at Alfaro, which is the reason why no one's been critical that much of that trade, because everyone saw that they had no catching since Rheaume left. So that was the second. And now they just made a third trade at the deadline that they feel is an impact trade, trading the 2 relievers to get the infielder Groshans from Toronto. But
Right.
Orlando, you are 100% right. How is that enough on a team that's not going to spend like the Yankees and the Mets and the Red? You have to make 10 deals, 5 deals, 7 deals. Like, there's got to be a lot more than that. And they didn't do it at the deadline. And so we are sort of forced to wait 3 more months again and say, well,
you know what? And let me defend them to this sense, and maybe you can help me. I might be ignorant here. I might be wrong because you know way more about this sport than I do. Maybe the price for poker is a little too expensive at that point to get those kind of prospects. So maybe you're better off in the off season where maybe that price is a lot less, and you'll have maybe more options in the off season with more teams willing to make moves. So maybe you're willing to trade your young pitchers for bats more in the off season because what you were going to trade was so young anyways, wasn't going to bail you out of your mess anyway. You need long term. You're thinking 2-3 years down the line. So go trade for those young bats and then develop.
It's fair. Now, what would happen is if you were having this conversation like I have with a general manager on another team in Major League Baseball, they would say, Orlando, you are right in the one sense, but where you're wrong is you catch a team in desperation to win right now in a World Series situation like Seattle, like another team
like Miami. Urbina, we gave up Gonzalez, who ended up becoming a way better player than they might have won the World Series without Urbina, actually.
Maybe. But anyway, you catch teams in desperation mode at the trade deadline. Now, I wasn't there to know exactly what was on the table for all of these deals, so it's hard for me to say. But to say that their offers, or at least did not sound like any of the teams were in desperation mode to get any of their players, does that say something about Miami and their inability to execute a trade, or the talent pool that they have on their team? I don't know. That's for everyone else to judge, but that's kind of the dynamic.
By the way, and I know she doesn't have a great checkbook, so I can't judge Kim Eng by that. But how is she as a communicator and a wheeler and dealer around the majors? Is she somebody that people know that she's good at in communicating and trying to make things happen? Because that's kind of part of the game too. You got to have a general manager that can really work the room, and I'm saying work all the other 29 rooms in the business.
Yeah, well, you understand that dynamic, and I think a lot of people are having a hard time understanding how important that dynamic is. And in Kim's defense, she had not been an assistant general manager or a general manager for a number of years before she was given the job by Derek Jeter. And so it was sort of a learning process, I think, initially for her. But with Derek Jeter gone and with Gary Denbo gone, she is now the key decision maker on the team, in the organization. And there are a lot of people who have told me that it's still sort of too early to judge as to whether or not she's having success or failure, because she's still, in essence, Orlando, is a rookie GM. No one wants to hear it. And everyone's like, wait a second, she's been the GM for a couple of years. And a lot of the decisions that she has made within the organization have been her decision. Make no mistake about it. but I mean, the reviews are okay, I guess, at best, but is that her fault? Like, is it her fault that she had not been an assistant GM or a GM, so doesn't have those relationships with the
Yeah.
working of the rooms? Like, yeah, somebody asked me about this, and here
But
is the
I
example.
would imagine, let me add something here.
Mhm.
The plan was we'll bring her in. We've got Dembo and we've got Jeter. So with Dembo, he'll teach her, she'll watch,
That
she'll
didn't
get back
happen.
in the
That
groove
did not
over
happen.
the next couple of years, and then eventually you can move her in, and then Dembo
That did
moves
not
on or
happen.
whatever. But that did not happen because you got rid of everybody and now you thrusted her
No, I
into the
know.
spot. No?
And Gary
Okay.
and her never really were working together, like
Oh,
they just,
okay.
that's why Gary is not with the organization anymore, is that he was sort of unwilling
Okay.
to do that. It's a fascinating dynamic, this whole thing. It's really book worthy, honestly, Orlando. I don't think
When
you're
you're
going to
writing
get
it, when you're
well
writing it, let's
well, the
go.
reason why I bring this up is because I don't think you're going to get as much from me as you're going to get tomorrow night on Derek Jeter's documentary, The Captain. But the episode is the Marlins tomorrow night on
Oh,
ESPN.
it is.
It is.
Oh, so they are including that. I was wondering if they were going to include that. And how far is he going to go? Okay.
I
All
know how
right.
far. Hey, I can't get into it too far, but I know how far I went, so you'll get to see.
Okay. All right. Okay. So we definitely will see tomorrow. I like that. All right. Tell them about swings and mishes and what else you're working on, baby, at Sports Grid.
Well, I got a show coming up at 2 o'clock Eastern, Newswire on Sports Grid. Looking forward to hosting, talking some sports betting, and how it affects everything around the world and around the country. And then I do, now we're in fantasy football mode here after the trade deadline. I'm like, Marlins, okay, love you, I'll be around, but I'm going to pivot over here. So
Yeah.
lots of fantasy football talk, doing team by team previews every day, 11 a.m. to 12 p.m., and then doing some work, probably slowing down, I would say, for the Herald the rest of the baseball season, because as you
Oh,
know,
shocker.
the
Shocker.
online business is the click business, and I have a really good relationship with the Herald, and it's about views and it's about clicks. My story after the trade deadline 2 years in a row is the most click story that I've had since I've been doing this with them. So that's great. I'm doing fantastic. They've been super encouraged with me doing stuff, but I also got to be realistic that I have a column due next week. It's like, what are we doing here? So, but beyond that, a lot of media stuff, and again, tomorrow night, ESPN, The Captain should be good. Check it
Yep.
out.
I'm definitely, now that you told me, I'm looking forward because I've kind of half-assed been watching, although some of it has actually been, I've kind of enjoyed it every time I've been
Interesting.
watching it. Because what freaked me out was that Derek actually was like, this is like, we've never seen Derek like this. You know,
Yeah,
it's
I
kind of like
mean,
watching Tom Brady leave Bill Belichick, and you're like, wow, he's a human being. He's not a robot. He can walk, he can talk, he can laugh, he can joke. And then I see Jeter, and it's like, wow, he's really not like a machine. He actually has feelings. He can talk. He's got emotions. He'll actually criticize something. Oh man, I didn't expect
yeah,
that from Derek.
he
I kind of
didn't go as
expected
far as he
fluff.
probably could have, but he
Yeah,
went further than he ever has over the course of
that's
his
what I'm saying.
career. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'd never expect him to go full out, like some other people would, but this is the most I've ever seen him, This is an incredibly reserved person that just, it's Russell Wilson, it's Tebow, it's Cal Ripken Jr., it's those guys. Although Cal Ripken was a very personable dude when you walked up to him.
The Captain is directed by a guy named Randy Wilkins,
Okay.
and I've gotten to know him, and he's done a phenomenal job. He basically okay, so in order to get Derek to do that, you have to be in Derek's circle and you have to be his friend. And somehow it looks like Derek and Randy Wilkins have developed this level of trust,
Good.
and Randy Wilkins pushed Derek to the edge on with like making
He
it
had
felt
to.
like he
I'm
and he
sure he
did,
had
and it's
yeah,
and he gets the credit for this. He gets the credit for this. He's the guy that got this to happen.
he had to have told Derek at one point, Derek, you got to open up, bro.
You
If
got to
this is
do
what you're
this.
going to do, what you did
No
after
one's gonna watch
games,
this.
it
Mhm.
nobody, right? Nobody will care. Nobody will watch. You got to put some meat on the bone.
I mean,
You know what I
can you
mean?
imagine sitting down with Derek Jeter and saying, "Let's tell the story about how the whole gift basket thing got started," and he tells the
Right.
story? Like, it's like,
Yeah.
I mean, like, credit to Randy. Credit to Randy on that.
Yeah. But it's something we all want to know
Of
because it
course.
was a myth that was out there
Right.
forever. You know what I mean? And while everybody else screws up in their relationships and all their dirt is out in the street, this guy went out with one hot babe after another, and nothing ever got out.
Yeah, no
Ever.
iPhones, though. No iPhones at
No,
that time.
yeah, no, but still, even without iPhone, even with or without iPhones, there are just some people that just know how to carry themselves the right way. And dude, even if no iPhone, you're still in New York. There are still tabloids
Yeah, there's
everywhere.
back page
And
photos. Sure.
yeah, and still yet he doesn't end up on any controversies whatsoever. That tells you that you know how to carry yourself at all times.
But
And
he
at all
also said that if it was now and he was a player, he would not have been able to do what he did. He says
sure,
it that the social media, people with camera phones, like remember, it had to be a paparazzi person with a camera at that time. Now it's
he
just
gives you he
everyone's the
gives you that
paparazzi.
he gives you that humbling bullshit, and yet you watch Tua and Russell Wilson, and they're pretty much behind the scenes most of the time. Only when they want to come out, you get them. If not, you're not really catching Russell Wilson in anything.
Never,
You're not
never.
catching Tua in anything. I just think those dudes or women, those special people that are in the spotlight, they might be a politician, they might be an actor, they might be a musician, they might
Mhm.
be an athlete. The ones that can really like stay away from all that, it's just a thing that they have, man. They know how to keep distance from everything,
Agreed.
and it's always on. That force field is always on. It's impressive. It's impressive
Definitely.
because most of us will let our guards down and make
Of
mistakes
course. Of
because we're
course.
human beings. You know
Yep.
what I mean? All right, follow him on Twitter at Craig Mish. Catch him on the Sports Grid. Swings and Mishes is the podcast, and of course the Miami Herald. Mish Meister, we will catch up next week, my friend. Thank you for an
Great seeing
excellent
you. Have a great
conversation.
weekend.
Thank you, sir. There you go. Let's step out of the batter's box.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.